Good afternoon and welcome to a Nolan Business Solutions webinar presented by myself, Tom Elliott, and today we'll be going through eInteract for NetSuite. So I will start by going through a few PowerPoint slides and just giving you a bit of an overview of what is eInteract, what does this mean in NetSuite, how it might benefit you as a company, and then we will jump into NetSuite and I'll be doing a demonstration of some of the features of eInteract actually in NetSuite and show you how it works today. So brief agenda, so I'll just be talking about what is eInteract, what does this mean in NetSuite, so it's all good telling you about eInteract, but how will that help you in NetSuite, and then also the advantages of eInteract, so some of the benefits that it might have to yourself as a company. And then, as I said, after going through a few slides, I will jump into NetSuite and I'll actually show you eInteract working. Okay, so what is eInteract? So it is a Nolan Business Solutions suite app which has been awarded the Built for NetSuite suite app badge. This is important because it ensures that the app itself has been tested and fully supported through the NetSuite upgrade cycle, so that you know that what you're getting is quality and consistency delivered to you. So NetSuite themselves confirm that this app does work successfully in NetSuite. So eInteract interfaces NetSuite with OneTrail to provide a business trading partner integration. So what this enables is electronic document exchange between NetSuite and suppliers through OneTrail. So we'll understand a bit more what that means for you in NetSuite shortly. So what does this mean in NetSuite? So some of the benefits to you. So if you've got NetSuite, eInteract will electronically submit purchase orders created in NetSuite to suppliers. So there's a list of suppliers that OneTrail is linked to. So instead of you having to submit it via email or send it in the post, they will receive a copy of the purchase order through EDI within a matter of minutes from it being created in NetSuite. So then once the suppliers receive the purchase order, as they progress it through in preparing the order, dispatching the goods to the customer, and then, you know, final stages of invoicing yourself. So as the deal is progressed with the supplier, eInteract will process these order responses. So this is to say that they've received and accepted the order, dispatch advices, so these let you know that they've actually sent the goods to the customer, to your customer, and supply invoices. So all of these are generated by the supplier, and eInteract will automatically bring you back that information into NetSuite. So as it says there, NetSuite will automatically create the item fulfillment records once the goods have been shipped directly to your customer, and the supplier invoice records itself when the end supplier has created an invoice to you as their customer, then a supplier invoice will be directly created in NetSuite saying this is how much you owe us. eInteract also receives a live product information feed from OneTrail. So basically this enables you to get the latest information available on goods and services, on goods that are supplied by the suppliers. So you can set a nightly feed, and what this will do is any new items added by the suppliers can be picked up on a nightly basis, and automatically the items are automatically created in NetSuite. And also there's a live P&A which we'll see, which is a price and availability lookup. So at any time you can click on the item, you can see how many are in stock for the different suppliers, what their current price is, if the item's not in stock, when it will next be in stock. So this means that you can straight away tell the customer, if they're on the phone to you, right, the moment I can sell you, I can get 5 of these for you at this price. And it saves you having to spend time going backwards and forwards between customer and supplier, because you've got all the information directly there for you in NetSuite. So I should say OneTrail is a third-party company which is used to connect, which eInteract is used to connect to, which facilitates the exchange of information between NetSuite and the end suppliers. So if you see any mention of OneTrail, that's what it is. But that's what eInteract connects through, is a company called OneTrail. So a couple of advantages of eInteract. I've already kind of talked about this in some information, but as I said, the automatic product data updates and live pricing and stock availability. So this, as I said, it means that any point in time, you can see exactly for a certain item that you're selling to a customer, you can see, right, I can get how many available from certain distributors, what their current stock level, how many they've got in stock, what the price is, etc. There's also real-time customer service. So NetSuite generates automatic customer email notifications when the distributor's shipping notices are received, so leading to unbeatable customer service. So now I'm going to jump into NetSuite, having given a bit of a background on eInteract, and actually show you some of the advantages of eInteract and how it works in NetSuite. So this is one of our NetSuite account that's got eInteract installed as a Suite app installed in here. So one of the benefits I mentioned, or one of the features I mentioned about eInteract is daily update feeds of items. So I'm going to look at a specific item I've already got in NetSuite that's already been set up. So bear with me just while I find my item that I want to look at. Oops. There we go. Okay, so this is my item. So this item has been, instead of it being created by a user or uploaded via CSV file or something, however, in other ways you get items into NetSuite. This item has been created directly by eInteract. So what happens is the suppliers will provide information of the goods that are available that they sell. They'll provide the information through OneTrail, and then eInteract picks up the information. So this item here, you can see the display name, it's a Cisco XFF transceiver module. And we can see some of the information that's picked up relating to the item. So we can see that the purchase description, you've got the information there, the manufacturer, so we can, against each item, we'll know who it is, the manufacturer that built this item, the MPM, so that's the actual item code of the item. You've got a vendor long description and short description, which may vary or may not vary, but in this case is exactly the same. And then you've got some further information, OneTrail product group and UNSP-SC code. So on their own, they don't necessarily mean that much, but each item is grouped into one of these groupings, depending on what it actually is. What it is. Is it a monitor, for example, or is it a phone or a phone case? Whatever it is you're selling, it will group the items. And what it enables you to do is view all your items in certain groupings, and you can actually set up pricing levels based on these groupings, which we'll briefly cover a little bit later on. And as I said, there's a live feed. So the daily and weekly updates of the information. So if I go to system information, I can see, so this is standard NetSuite information. It's what we're looking at here, system information, but it's capturing any changes that have happened to this item. So for example, I can see that yesterday a script was run, or 2 days ago a script was run, which looking for update of information between through eInteract. And we can see that the purchase price, the old value was set at 10722.42, but the current price provided by the supplier is 1015.98. And you can see the last OneTrail.net update was at 7:18 on the 6th of the 6th. And you can see previously it was updated on the 29th of November. So in this case, we're not running regular updates, but you can have these scripts running daily, which will then look for any changes that the supplier provides in information will be captured on a regular basis between into NetSuite. So, and as I mentioned before, so that information is picked up daily or weekly when anything changes. But what this check P&A does is it enables you to look straight away at, or look that for the suppliers that provide this item, what is their current price, what's the current amount they've got in stock, and if they don't have any in stock, when are they next scheduled to get this in stock. So when I click this button, it's going to be a live feed directly from NetSuite to the suppliers that we have linked up through OneTrail that provide this item. So if I click check P&A, it loads up a new page for us. So I've got 3 suppliers that I have set up here that are linked through eInteract to OneTrail. So you can see there's 3 here: C2K and Friends, Tech Data, and West Coast. So West Coast don't actually provide or sell this item, so that's why it comes back with the item number unknown. But C2K and Friends and Tech Data do. Their current price is exactly the same between them. So if I was to buy it from either of those, it would be 10,222. But you can see the current available quantity is 0. So neither of these suppliers have this item in stock. But they're available to promise date, so that's when they'll next be available to produce this item for us, is until the 4th of July. So it would be almost a month before I was able to get that item from the supplier. But you can see this is live information. So if they suddenly got any in stock, next time I clicked on P&A lookup, it would tell you the available quantity would go to 1 if they got 1 in stock. And it also tells you things like you can have, there might be a minimum order quantity to get this price, and that would be the information we picked up there. So that's one place where we can see our check P&A. We'll come back to that again a little bit later when we actually are going to create an order in NetSuite, as if we're actually selling an item to the customer. So that's a bit one information, the live information of feed. So now we're going to go through a process of actually getting a new lead. So as you would in NetSuite, someone comes along to us, visits our website, or we meet them at the trade fair. We get their information and they become interested in buying a good from us. Then we create a quote, propose it to the customer, and we say, you know, if you want to buy this this good from us, we'll sell it to you for this price. They accept the price. They think it's a good opportunity for them. You then raise a sales order in NetSuite, and because we're not actually stocking the items ourselves, we are reselling the goods. We don't hold any stock. So as soon as we create a sales order, then a dropship order is created. So this is a back-to-back order, which means the second the sales order is created, and on the sales order we say, right, who are we going to buy it from? Which supplier are we going to buy it from? A purchase order in NetSuite is automatically created. And through eInteract, that purchase order is sent directly to the supplier through the EDI, and they will receive the order in their system to say, okay, customer X wants to buy this from us through Nolan Business Solutions, and we need to deliver it directly to the end customer. So I'm going to start by creating a new lead. So this is no different to if you currently use NetSuite, how you would create a lead itself. So I want to go to lists, relationships. So in this environment, leads are called suspects. So suspects and then new. So this very early stage, we might not have much information. So it's definitely a company though. Oops. So I'm not going to cover too much of the other information, but you've got the standard fields. So what status is this as a suspect? So I'm going to capture the company information. So in this case, I'm going to call the suspect Nolan PLC. And then so I've got all these other fields that I can capture that I don't have to. So if I know that information and I use that information in NetSuite, for example, company type, number of employees, if all this information is used, I know I can add it. But at this point in time, I don't have the information, and I don't need to capture the information, so I'm not going to. The one thing I do need to capture is an address, because once we process the order, we're going to say to our supplier, right, can you send this good directly to the customer? And if we don't have an address, then obviously the supplier is not going to know where to send anything to. So I'm going to add an address for this suspect. I'm just going to make an address up. There we go. Okay, so that's our customer's address. So as standard within NetSuite, you can have multiple addresses against the customer. And all you have to do is when you create the quote or the sales order, particularly the sales order, is you have to pick which address the good actually needs to be sent to from the supplier. Because we don't stock the goods, we're not going to be sending anything to the customer itself. So what happens is the delivery address we pick on the sales order is copied onto the purchase order that is sent to the end supplier, so that the good can be delivered to the correct place. Excuse me, sorry. So I'm not going to go through much more information here. All I've captured at the moment is the company name and the address. But if I had further information such as specific contacts or, as I said, some other fields, I could enter that information here. But we won't be going through leads and things like that too much detail in this webinar. So I've now got a suspect or a lead, depending on terminology. So let's say they visited our website and they showed an interest, and that we had a conversation with them and they said, okay, we want to buy this item from you. So the user might go into, right, we've got our lead, so let's send a quote to you. We propose that we sell it to you for this price. So directly from the lead record itself, I can create a quote. So at this point, they've shown an interest in buying a good from you. It's certainly not certain. The customer information pulls through here, and then you have the standard information to be populated on a quote record in NetSuite. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but you've got the status of the quote. So what is your status in this deal? So they qualified, are they in discussion? At the moment, I'm going to leave it as proposal. Probability, so if you're tracking sales forecasts in NetSuite, this is the probability that you think this deal is going to go through. So based on the status, this will change, but I'll leave it as proposal 50%. And then when do I expect this deal to close? So it defaults to today's date, but I could change it. I actually think it will close tomorrow, for example. So I'm not going to cover too much other information. You'll see a few important bits. The shipping tab. So at this point that's not populated, but you can enter shipping information, but the billing tab will pull through the information about where we're going to bill to. So that's the address we put through there. So if we had multiple addresses, we could select a different billing address. So at this point, I'm going to say, right, what they really wanted to buy from us was this item here. So I'm going to put it in for here. It's a no pack 15.4 16-inch notebook. So I'd add an item as I would to any other transaction in NetSuite. But what's going to happen here, oh, I do apologize. Please excuse me if you couldn't see some of that information then. You may not have seen, sorry, I just realized I have two screens, so the quote was on the other screen. So this is my quote record that I was just going through. So now you can see some of the information I talked about before. So all I did before was add my customer. So this was the suspect I added. So this was some of the information I've talked through before. Apologies again for not sharing that. So this is my company name. So I added it as Nolan PLC. I added the address record to the address tab. So this is my address there that I added in. So it picks up the address. So some of the information I mentioned you could have put through was company type, number of employees, things like that, annual revenue, any of the information that standardly in NetSuite you can capture against your leads or suspect in this case. So this is the quote I was just creating based upon that suspect. So I'll actually start again. I'm just going to close my quote. So this is my suspect. So from here I said I will create the quote directly. So I can create new, so NetSuite has a good feature where you can, from one record, you can automatically go to another record and it will pull through that information. So if I click on quote, it will then bring me through a quote record in NetSuite, and it pulls through the information. So I was previously looking at the suspect, Nolan PLC, so it pulls through that information as the customer, and it will pull through things like the billing tab, the address. So that was the address I added on the lead or suspect, and it pulls that through. So yeah, just briefly recap what some of the information I talked about, but you can see, so the status, for example, the proposal. So as I said before, you can change it to different statuses, probability. So if you're capturing sales forecast information about what you think the chances are of this quote actually closing, so you can use it to track your proposed sales forecasts. The expected close, so it defaults to today's date, but you can change that information to say I expect it to close tomorrow or next month. Again, that's all in line with the sales forecasting. I'm not going to go into too much of that detail today. We'll have other webinars and other points of information in regards to the CRM cycle. So the next bit I want to jump through to is actually adding the item that the customer wants to buy from us. So I'll pick that again. So as I said before, this is the item the customer is interested in buying from us. I would add it to a record as you would any other record, regardless of eInteract or anything like that. So the key thing we've got here again is this P&A lookup. So similar to what we had on the item itself, we can tick this box, and again it will bring up our new box that gives you the P&A information. So it's exactly the same box as we had before, returning the same information, but now for our new item, the code CN01. So what this means is that when you're actually creating a quote for a customer, you might be on the phone to them, and you can have specifically say, right, this is where we can buy it from. You have the information live to hand. So in this case, there's 3 suppliers. Our 3 suppliers sell this item. You can see the current price they're selling it for. So West Coast are the most expensive at $22.09, and Tech Data and C2K are the same. However, we can see in this scenario that neither C2K or Tech Data are in stock. You can see available quantity is 0, and the next available to promise date is not till the 21st of the 6th. So you could provide information and say, well, I can sell it to you. Obviously, this is the price you're buying it for yourself. So obviously, if to make a margin, you'd want to sell it to a higher price to the customer. So you could say, right, if I can sell it to you for, say, £25 now, and this is available straight away and should be delivered tomorrow, or whatever your agreement is with the supplier, how quickly they can deliver it. Or you can say, we can get it cheaper. As a result, we'll sell it to you for £24, but it's not available until the 21st of June. So would you prefer the lower price, but a longer delivery time, or would you like it higher price and but available to deliver much sooner? So in my case, I'm going to say, right, my customer wants it as soon as possible. As a result, we need to purchase it for £22, and as a result, I need to sell it at a higher price. So what that then does is it puts on my quote the P&O vendor. So that's who we're buying it from, West Coast. The rate we're buying it from is £22.09. Now then what we've got here is a good development which enables you to see the most recent price that it was sold globally. So in terms of all our customers, the last price we sold it for was £25. So we would have made just under £3 margin on it. It would also show us if we'd bought it, if we'd previously sold it to this customer. So although we might have sold it for £25 to another customer, last time we sold it to this customer it was $24.50. If we had done that, it would return the information here, and we could say, actually, we sold it for you for $24.50 last time, so we'll sell it to you again for $24.50. today. And what then brings through is the base price. So this is set as £25, which is the last price we sold it to for anyone. So it's going to bring through the last global price as the default rate that we're going to sell it to for the customer. So this would give us just under £3 margin. As with any orders in NetSuite, you can have multiple price levels. So if I click on the drop down, I can click on custom and I can actually set my rate. So instead of £25, because we have a really good relationship with the customer, I'm willing to sell it a bit cheaper in order to keep them happy, and I could put in here £24.50. As I said before, so all it means is we make a little bit less margin on the order, but we keep our customer happy. What you're also able to do is you can set global price rules or price rules based on the information on the item. So I'm just going to leave this page open. We'll come back to it. But what I want a little bit to look at is, sorry, wrong place, pricing rules. So this is something you can either choose to use when you use eInteract or not use at all in eInteract. Basically, you wouldn't use it if each time you raise an order you want to specifically pick what is the rate you're selling it to the customer. So if your rates are going to vary each order, you would not put any pricing rules in place, and each time you created a quote or a sales order, you'd set the rate here. What pricing rules enable you to do is say, based upon the purchase price, then based upon certain information that's set on the item, I want to say increased the selling price should be a percentage increase from the purchase price. So this is just an example that's been set up. It's not in place to use, but this is a good example. So what it's saying, when I very first showed a customer, one thing I did, sorry, not a customer, an item, I showed the manufacturer of an item. So each item with a manufacturer, so who builds the item, so in this case Withings, but it could be Dell if it's a computer, or Sony for televisions, or even computers itself. Excuse me, sorry. And all that information is populated on the item that comes in from the item feeds through eInteract. What this pricing rule would do is it would say all items where the manufacturer is Withings. For my sales price, my default sales price, take the purchase price and then increase it by 30%. So let's say we were an item for the manufacturer Withings. If we could buy it from our supplier, let's say West Coast, for £100, then when we add it to a sales order, the default price that would come in would be a markup of 30%, so our default selling price would be 130%. So if these rules were in place, then it would mean that when you created a quote or a sales order, the rate would be automatically calculated based off those selling prices. So you can do it based on manufacturer, or you can do it based on vendor. So you could say all items that we buy from TechData or West Coast, a couple of the suppliers, increase it by, have a margin of 20%. And you can also do it from item category and product classification. So item category, you can group your items, so all items that are in the server category, or computer category, or mobile phone category. So you can have all that information there. But we're not going to go into any further detail there, but pricing rules enable you to have to set up default prices for all your items. So it means that when you come to raise an order or a quote, whatever the P&O rate is to the current price, let's say we've got a markup of 30%, the current price was 22, then my rate, my price I'm going to sell it to the customer would automatically be 30% higher. In this case, as I previously said, it previously pulled in £25 because there's no other rules set up, so look for the most recent global price. But as I said, I've got a good deal with the customer, got a good relationship, so I'm going to sell it to them for £24.50. So I'm happy with that. I'm not going to sell them anything else. It's all they're interested in at the moment in time. So I save my quote, as you would in NetSuite. Then I am going to turn my quote into sales order. So it's been sent through to the customer. The customer's happy with it. They've decided, yes, we want to buy this item from you, this item here from you at $24.50. So at this point, I am just going to straight from my quote, I'm going to convert it to a sales order. So now we've got a sales order record in NetSuite. We've got a new record. The status is going to be at pending approval. So this is, do you have approval status for your sales orders, sales order cycle? I'm not going to, in this case, jump it to pending fulfillment. So everything's been pulled through. Now at this point, obviously you might have created a quote 1 week and then the sales order is not created till a week after, and in between that time obviously the price might have changed from the vendor. So we're buying it from West Coast for $22.09, but that was the price when the quote was created. If the sales order is not created till a little bit after, you can do the P&A lookup again to find out what is actually the latest information and prices from the supplier. So things are likely to have changed. You see it hasn't changed because obviously I've only done it a few minutes later, but had they, and the current price was different here, we could select it. It's going to reselect it, but it's going to pull through the same information there. Okay, so at this point we're telling NetSuite excuse me, sorry, that we've agreed to sell this item CN01 to our customer for $24.50. So I saved my sales order, and as I said, we don't stock this item. It's going to be a back-to-back order. We're buying it directly from West Coast, their supplier, and we're buying it for £22.09. But they're not going to send it to us. They're going to directly send it to the customer itself. So once we save the sales order, it's now using NetSuite built-in functionality, and it's going to create a back-to-back order or a dropship order, and you can see our sales orders being saved and created, and on the back of it a purchase order has been created. So if I open my purchase order, I can see it's created from, so it's got the link to the sales order. It's the item CN01. The vendor is West Coast, so if I go back to the sales order, on the sales order here we've put the vendor who we're buying it from, so that's been pulled through onto the purchase order, and the price, so it's $22.09, it's been pulled through. So that was just standard NetSuite functionality there. If we didn't have eInteract, then we would have to, in order to get this sent through to West Coast, we would have to print it and send it as a PDF or email it directly from NetSuite. But what eInteract enables us to do is through OneTrail we are directly linked to West Coast. And so we can have this purchase order automatically sent to the supplier, in this case West Coast. So two options: you can have it sent directly the second the purchase order is created, well, not the second, but as soon as the purchase order is created, if you're not going to be making any changes to the purchase order, or you can have it that the purchase order is automatically created from the sales order, and then you might want to make some changes to the purchase order or check some information, and then once you edit the purchase order you have a save and submit electronically, and what happens here is once I click this purchase order will be sent to West Coast via OneTrail and eInteract. So that's what I'm going to do here. And we can see this submit status. So this is the information relevant to OneTrail, and this is installed as part of eInteract. And the submit status was previously not submitted, and it's now changed to submitted, which means it's being sent to OneTrail. Now what would happen in the background is there are some scripts that would be running. scripts running that would process these orders and would update information at a regular point being sent from NetSuite to the supplier and then back from the supplier to NetSuite through eInteract. So I'm just going to kick off these processes in the background. So I've already mentioned what information will come back. So the first one is an order response. So what this is going to tell us is that the supplier, so in this case West Coast, has received the purchase order. They've received it, they've accepted it, and that they are happy to process the order. So meaning they've accepted the price we've sent them, which should be correct because we've done the P&A lookup, they have it in stock, and they're going to process the order on their end. Just going to refresh. And you can see the submit status has changed from submitted to confirmed, and the accept status is accepted. So this means that West Coast, in this case, have received our order, they've confirmed it, and they've accepted it. And they're now going to, on their end, process the order. If they had a problem with the order, some information would come back here and tell us that there was a problem with the order, and then we'd be able to contact West Coast to understand what's happening with the deal. Excuse me, sorry. So at this point, in the background, or not the background, but West Coast are processing the order, so they're finding the good in their warehouse, and then once it's found and ready, they will ship it directly to the customer. So this is a drop ship order. Nothing's going to get sent to us. We're just in the middle of connecting the customer and the supplier, and so the good is going to be delivered directly to the customer. So on the purchase order we've got here, we can see the shipping information. This is really key, and this is the shipping address. So who actually is going to receive the good? So it's Nolan PLC, and that's the address we entered there. So it's been delivered directly to our customer, but the billing address will be the billing address of us here as the middle person, because we're the ones that are actually going to pay West Coast for the information. So then what will happen is once West Coast have delivered the item, they will send us a dispatch advice to say this has been delivered to your customer. And what will happen is the transaction will be automatically created in NetSuite, which is a shipment record, to say that yes, this good has been delivered to the customer, and we're updating the information directly in NetSuite. So this is the item fulfillment record that's going to get created. So I've updated it. The scripts have run, and the status has changed from pending fulfillment to pending billing. So that means if I go to my related records, I can see this item fulfillment record has been created. So this has been created automatically through eInteract based on the fact that the vendor sent us a message to say we have shipped it to your customer. And we can see the item fulfillment, the customer, the sales order it relates to. So if I go to the sales order, the status of that will be changed to pending billing because it's been delivered to the customer. And we can see the shipping information of where it's been sent. And also it tracks package information as well. So if it was sending packages, you could track the packing number there. Okay. So now the customer has received the good. So the next stage from us, we would, from the sales order, we'd create the bill, create an invoice, which we would then send to the customer to say, please pay us the £29.40, sorry, for the goods we've sold you. The link with the supplier isn't ended there. Once they've delivered the good to NetSuite, to your customer, they would then send you as the middle person an invoice to say, we've delivered our good to your customer. Please can you now pay us if we go back to the purchase order, the £26.41, including the VAT, that you owe us for this good that we've delivered to our customer, deliver to your customer, sorry. And then the purchase invoice or bill will get created automatically in NetSuite. So I can see the related records. I've now got the bill, and so we can see all information. It's created by West Coast. The West Coast reference number, invoice number comes in through here, and all the information gets pulled through, and the record created directly in NetSuite based on the information that OneTrail have sent us from the supplier, so from West Coast. So these two records, the item fulfillment and bill, get created automatically in NetSuite once the information has been sent from the supplier via OneTrail and eInteract into NetSuite. These records are automatically created. So it means that we don't have to wait for a dispatch invoice to be sent to us to say it's been delivered to the customer, and then we don't have to wait for an invoice to be received via an email or via the post. Information is sent via EDI directly into NetSuite, and the transactions were created in NetSuite. From this point, you would carry on as your process as you would manually, sorry, not manually, as you would any other order. So you'd pay your supplier. You would create your invoice in NetSuite to the customer, send it to the customer, and then when the customer paid you, you do your customer payment in NetSuite. So that was an overview of eInteract and showing you how eInteract will work in terms of processing an order, how you can look up items, and you have live information. So yeah, so that was everything I was going to show you. There was obviously a lot more to eInteract. There's a lot more around pricing rules and things like that, delivery rates that can be created and set up. So if anyone's got any questions, please let me know now. So that's my final slide. If not, if you don't have any questions now, but if anything comes up, our email address is at the bottom of this slide, sales@nolanbusinesssolutions.com. Please send in any further information specific to eInteract or anything else related to anything we've talked about in the webinar today, or there's the phone number if you want to phone up for more information. And if you'd like to learn more about eInteract, then please get in contact and we can provide more information and arrange to do a more detailed demo for you if you would like. So I'll stay on the line for a couple of minutes if there's any questions. If not, thank you very much for listening. Have a good rest of the day, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.